Okay, I wanted to write about this, but I've been trying to think about how to deal with it, and I'm going to try again to speak it. I'm talking mostly here to my former co-workers. I've been retired 12 years from EBMUD. I was active in Local 444, as some of you know, and I wanted to address this in particular to some of the younger people, because I know there's a lot of discontent there because people talk to me, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the union. Our Local 444 has a very rich history and a militant history. Unfortunately, a lot of the young people don't know about it, and they're unhappy with the union to a certain degree. But then you have to get involved in the union if you want to change it. It's as good as the members that are in it. If you have disagreements with the union leadership, then voice them, campaign against them, and more importantly, let the membership know what these differences are. And so the thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was the maintenance department where I worked, maintenance and construction. And I was talking to somebody the other day about the foreman. Now, we had a strike in 1985. I'm just talking about my period here. Before me, there was Local 444 was always a militant union, and the pipelining especially, and your department, like there were great people that helped me to understand the importance of the union. Solomon Jones and Al Williams in my unit, people like John Walsh in South, and we had some great fighters that were women in our units. Kate, who was a president, Cheryl, who was a president. They weren't in the maintenance department, but they were in other departments. And so we've always had, and you go back to the older guys like a bit before, even Ray Ahern and others who walked off the job. Johnny Young from SD1, who walked off the job in the 60s to get us a union. So in 1985, the bosses learned a thing or two. And let's be honest about it. They get to meet on company time and they get paid for it. All of the meetings that they get paid for and where they can discuss on company time, their job, their salaries are about how to deal with us, how to make it more competitive. Even though it's the public sector, we're forced to compete with the outside, and more pressure is coming on the public sector because the private sector, the investors, the speculators, the private business want to get their hands on industries like water and public property and public assets, the post office and what have you. So we're still under pressure there, even though it's a much more humane workplace. It was the best job that I ever had, and it still is in this country. And it used to fascinate me, the conservative guys at EBMUD who would talk about Rush Limbaugh and the market and all, because they got a little bit of property and this, that and the other. And the reason they could play around in the real estate market is they had the great benefits and the great wages at EBMUD. That doesn't mean that it's going to last. And for you young people, look at me, I retired at 54. That's over. So you need to really consider what's happening with the union. Now, in 1985, we had the strike. The bosses learned something about the strike in regard to maintenance and construction department. The foremen are crucial. The foremen are the lead, that lead, we call them forepersons now. The forepersons, or foremen, were crucial. Firstly, they occupy that middle layer between the plumbers and the guys on the job and the management. And most foremen came out of the ranks. They had a lot of respect for us. Some of them in the old days and in the strike, I remember one supervisor sending a scab back, said there's no work to do here, there's nothing to do, go home. They were very sympathetic. Now, what they learned in the strike was that if they can get the foreman out of our union, that would really weaken our ability to win a strike. And you can never, ever say you'll never strike. The bosses won't let up. And so they were very important. They made overtime mandatory after the strike, because prior to the strike, I'm talking about the one in 1985 when I was on the negotiating team. Joe Montoya was the picket captain in Central. Georgie Craig was on the executive out of our department. and him and I were the only two people on the executive board that refused to give up Danville pumping plant. You should know the history of Danville pumping plant and the East Area Yard. It's picketing of that, and the electricians holding that for us. They try to take us to court, threaten to take us to court, get an injunction against us. Lalo Carmona was a steward out there. So they wanted to get the foreman out of the union, and the way they've done that, and they got the general pipe foreman, they got the painters foreman, maybe an electrical foreman, I can't recall this, but they do it by trying to make them supervisors, by determining their supervisory personnel. And once they're supervisory personnel, then we don't represent supervisory personnel, and it's just a way of getting them out. More and more, what they want today is not for the old foreman we used to know. There's very few of them left anymore. The old foremen we used to know were part and parcel of our working crews. They used to say they'd never tell you to do something they couldn't do ourselves. They couldn't do themselves. And them and the lead plumber would be who trained us, who taught us the job. Now they got an academy. It's really an institution to help people move into management and become the managers of people. It's not about training us. You won't hear no union talk there. It's not about training us to be better at our job so much as a pathway to becoming bosses and managers of people. And that's the aspect I want to teach about it. The construction superintendent in my yard, for example, where I left, and I guess all four of them, he earns, what does he earn? This is a guy I work with, so I'm very, very well aware, as many others are, of his bad work ethic. This is for 2016, $13,051 a month. That's more than a senior engineer. It's more than the manager, Mike Rich, of employer relations, a few thousand more. And so more and more what you've got with these people, and some of them will be guys, because I know them, that we've worked with and that we have respect for. Working people respect people that work and that carry the weight and are not slackers. With all the propaganda, there's very few working people like kiss asses, those that ingratiate themselves with the management, and those that don't pull their weight. And that's just a fact, no matter what country you're in. And so some of that layer now of management that are earning $1,350,000 a year and a bonus of $6,000 this year, bonus of $8,000 last year. These bonuses they get off of the guys in the ditch, off their backs. Some of those guys are guys that we've worked with and we have respect because they were hard workers, and some of them aren't. If Marvin Kane, for example, and John Walsh, two great union activists, were in South Yard where I retired, the situation would not be what it is in that yard today, and the morale's not very good there. And so what they're doing is they're creating this layer that they will eventually take out of the union, and it'll be very difficult to win a strike at EBMUD without them. Of course, SD1, we used to call that the shit plant. It's the affluent of the Bay Area, the East Bay here. It's where all the toilets, toilets and bath and waste goes. And they were very important, and they were very good in the strike. Our strike was pretty strong. An important aspect. So that question of that layer of management now is that even though it's difficult sometimes to separate the personal and the political. When somebody gets promoted that we know was a company man, and they can't hide those people. They don't make much attempt at hiding. They volunteer for every committee that the boss wants. It's on company time. They can mix with the bosses. They can show them how good they are. They can, in one way or another, let them know they're reliable, they're weak, their class consciousness and solidarity is weak. They don't hide what they are. There's those types that we're very clear about, and those other guys who would definitely we have more respect for, but they will be doing the same thing in relation to forcing more and more work, taking away benefits. Look at what we've lost in the union. From what I understand now, I retired at 54. That's gone for you guys. They're going to go after, just like they are everywhere in this country and around the world, after driving back the US working class to conditions that existed before the 1930s. And if I always used to say, and the thing about Local 444, we got involved. It's got, like, as I say, a militant history. We were involved in community issues. When cops shot workers, we got involved in it. We got involved in defending the guy that ran organised the gang truces, speaking out and as a union. We supported the Hormel strikers. We supported auto workers. We built links with different unions in other countries. Local 444 was a prominent local in the fighting for a Labour Party in this country based on the trade unions. It was probably one of the most left-wing locals with regards to that. And there was a period where not a Democrat could not get an endorsement during the 90s, could not get an endorsement, could not get money from us. It didn't hurt as long as we were more organised. And so I wanted to just, that layer of your supervisors now, it's a different ball game. It's a very different ball game. And you got to stop. Somebody was talking to me the other day. I happened to mention Roger Martinez. He's still there. He's one of the great union people of the last, him, Walsh, Marvin, the folks down at SD1 like Henry, Scott and Marty, Georgie Craig, who died not long ago. Many people who helped to bring me the reason I can retire at 54, or did retire. Those people helped to get me that. And it's people don't, of course we have to go down there on our own time. Our lives are tied up. We got the daycare, our wives or partners are working or whatever, but at some point you're going to have nothing left. And it's better to fight now than to where your backs are completely against the wall. I wanted to raise this because somebody was telling me about how they're trying to get the foremen out of the union and make them supervisors. That would be a real bad thing for EBMUD, for the workers at EBMUD. The other thing I want to say is building a campaign to unite both locals. We took that up at one point. You're going to have a lot of opposition. The bosses won't like it. The District Council 57 of Afscme leadership won't like it. If a united, locals united, are more aggressive and more willing to organise their membership and fight to go on the offensive, they won't like it either. And not only that, there will be leaders in both locals that won't like it if they don't feel they can be a leader in a united local, because it's for some people there's opportunists in the union. You get to sit with the bosses, you get off of work, you get to fly here and there at conferences. Somebody once told me they were going to an international conference to bring back to the membership what's going on. You don't need a messenger boy. The international conferences or any conferences are to every time are to build and strengthen the movement, widen it, build links in the community, build links with all of these issues that are happening around us. The Native Americans up there in Dakota, the fracking, the water issue in Flint, the gas leak issue in Southern California that was a state of emergency. That's all union business, because we can't defeat these people alone. Anyway, I just wanted to say a few things about that. I wanted to write something about it. I'll look at this. If it looks okay, I'm going to put it up on my blog. And I might do some more of these if it's all right. But I want you to, I'm going to share it on Facebook. Please, if you're on Facebook, share it with other folks at EBMUD on their Facebook. Send it out on email if you can. Just because you really need to start thinking about where you're going to be if they remove the foreman out of the maintenance and construction department. There's a reason they're paying those guys more than they're paying them a senior engineer. The heads, the supervisors in the yards, is because their role is to ensure that the unions are not discussed, that the stewards in the units are not combative, that they're on board with this team stuff. I've seen the memo the general manager put out about the team and the t-shirts and we're all in this together. It's all a trick. That it's to undermine the union, and you've got to stop it. Okay, so because if you don't stop it now, you're gonna be in a worse hole later. So anyway, young ones, if you want to retire like I've got, and you don't want to lose any more, then you got no option but fighting. The bosses won't let up. So, all right. So that's enough for today. Hope it's all right. Bye.